And we are live. What is up, guys? DPS Podcast episode 32. We are here with, of course, the usual dynamic duo, myself and Gaming Forte, here with EC Jackson, Mr. Eric Jackson in the house. How's it going, Eric?
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Another Thursday, DPS Podcast. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
All right. It's not the first time you've been on. You've been on before, but it's the first time with the whole, new look. We got a glow up. We had a facelift. We had some plastic surgery done. You know what I'm saying?
Glow on.
You got the boobs put in. Got the fake booty in. Like walking around like DPS podcast, looking like a snack, right?
She fly, y'all. Yeah.
Let me shout out to some people in the chat. Replicant. Oh, actually, this is probably from way earlier in the day since I set this up a few hours ago. It says, have a good show, guys. We'll catch up tomorrow. Yeah, no problem, Replicant. Appreciate you checking out the replay. We got PlayStation, Nintendo Win in the house. What's up, man? Dravenero's in the house. What's up, Drav? How's it going, man?
My favorite sub.
I'm telling you, like my heart skipped a beat when I saw Drav. I was like, oh, I gotta be on my P's and Q's now. I can't say anything that might end up getting me doing something I don't want to do, just because Dravenero will be like, so here's the super chat. Yeah, you said if someone did this, then you would do that. I'm like, yeah, let me keep myself.
Let me fall back.
Yeah, we fall all the way back, right? Mr. Xbox in the house. Yeah. He's like, yo, mad late, son. Yeah, you know what? We are mad late. I wonder why. Forte, why are we so late?
I had inventory at work today, so your boy couldn't get out of that one. Normally, our inventories are on Wednesday because that's why I would miss certain BRAP shows. But as of right now, they moved our stuff to Thursdays, and we got a new DM, temporary DM. So your boy had to do an inventory today, so he didn't get out of there until 9:15.
Interesting.
So, but guess what? The next 2 weeks is clear because guess who does the schedule for his district's inventories? Your boy right here. So I already took the next 2 off for next month because one of them is on the 13th and I'm not doing that one. And the one on the 20th is my birthday and I'm not doing that one either. But guess where I will be at? Right here in this space with you fine people. So you guys take precedence over that, I guess, right now.
Yeah, like Forte doing it for the people.
Doing it for the people, man. Doing it for the people. Plus, ain't nobody trying to do no real work on their birthday anyway. Who want to do that?
Birthday coming up
May 20th.
May 20th. All right.
I know. I actually get to do a stream on my birthday. I can't believe it.
About to be 45 years old.
Nah, you older than me, son.
Hey, now. I don't know about that.
Listen, man, you got a house with you had a mortgage longer than I had and everything.
What's that got to do with age? I mean,
you were wise and everything. Wise beyond all your years and all that other stuff.
Nothing to do with age. You got a house longer than me.
You got a house
you're still older
with a dog. You got a dog in your house and everything, or do you got a cat?
I don't have any pets.
You got a ferret.
A ferret, man.
You got a ferret in your house?
I don't have any pets. Means zero
honey badger?
Pets. Zero pets.
I
got a groundhog that keeps trying to dig into my.
I do too. He put 2 holes in my front yard.
Yeah, I got a groundhog.
I made sure I didn't take pictures of those holes. Matter of fact, one day I am going to take a picture of that. Look, I think this is where the groundhog came up and said, "It's spring."
Shout out to Hustle and Motivate in the chat. What's up, Hustle? How's it going? Rodimus is in the chat as well. Rodimus, I'm gonna talk to you about Second Extinction, bro. We gotta talk about Second.
Is it
Extinction.
trash,
bro? It is solid waste.
Oh Lord!
To me, it is solid waste.
Well, I saw a tweet from somebody said this game is so trash. I literally he said, I'm glad it was in Game Pass. I'm glad I didn't spend no money on this piece of crap. It needs to be in game preview, and it also just needs to be deleted off Xbox as soon as possible. I was like, yo.
I mean, it ain't that bad, but it ain't good. It's not good at all. Like very quickly, I'll run through it, and then we can talk about what our week's been like and what we've been playing. Let's see. I played Second Extinction earlier today. I maxed all settings out. First of all, the game doesn't give. I played it on PC, of course. The game does not give you.
Why am I not in this game with you, Slomo? Am I in this game or this is a different game?
This is me playing through it solo. Earlier playing through Zombie Army 4 solo because I was going to use the footage from us streaming on Twitch last night, but at 1080p. With the way the Twitch be capping my bit rate, nah, fam, it was disgusting looking. So I said, all right, let me just get some quick footage for the show, of course. But no, so I played Second Extinction. First issue I have with it is that they don't allow you. So, check this out. There's only 2 display modes. There is windowed and borderless. There's no full screen mode. That's the first, and I'm like, okay, weird. And then they don't allow you to choose your resolution in borderless. So you can only choose your resolution in window mode. And I'm like, what? Why? Why is there no full screen mode? This makes no sense. So I was perturbed by that. The settings aren't as detailed as I like to see on PC, but whatever. And then not all games need that. There's some games that don't have a lot of detailed settings, but the game still looks good on PC. This one doesn't. I get into the game and there's like fog everywhere. Then maybe it was just at the time of day. I don't know if it has dynamic day-night cycles or whatever. Maybe it was the time of day. And I don't know, but it's just like there's unnecessary fog everywhere, and it doesn't even look like it's in there like in a natural kind of way. So it's just it was the shooting mechanics were not great. Yeah, I just didn't like it, and of course I didn't play it with anyone else. I played it solo, but yeah, I just didn't like it. Rodman says that was your problem. You playing it on PC? No, sir. That's not a problem. That's a feature. It's a bonus. Playing it with the superior hardware is great. He said he has none of those issues on Xbox. There is fog everywhere. Yeah, look. Back in the day, I know Eric and Forte. I know you guys will remember this. Back in the day, on remember Nintendo 64, original Xbox. A lot of developers used to put fog everywhere in a game to hide issues with the visuals, issues in the environment that they weren't able to fix.
Hide and pop in and stuff like that.
Yeah, hide and pop in and stuff like that. And that's what it reminded me of. It was just like unnecessary fog everywhere. And I was just like, I can understand it because there's some parts where you get into like zones where there's a whole bunch of dinosaurs and like the it's like everything turns kind of green or whatever because it's like a kind of something in the air. But I get that at times, but when I'm not in those areas, it's just straight up fog for no reason. It's just really, really annoying. And I just can't get it. I know it's an early access, so of course, it's going to improve before it gets to its final release. But from what I saw, it didn't hook me enough of what's there to have me keep it installed on my SSD, so I had to let go of it. But yeah, all that said, what you guys are watching now is Zombie Army 4. I'm loving that. Game's awesome. I played it on, so far I have played it on 3 platforms. I have played it on PlayStation with Forte, PlayStation 5. It runs very well on that. I played it on PC where it runs the best, Erodimus, okay? And then I also played it on xCloud because I finally got into the xCloud iOS PC beta, and I just wanted to test it out. So I tested out MLB The Show, and I tested out Zombie Army 4. It's absolutely awful on xCloud. There's a latency issue, but it actually kind of reminded me of like old school Resident Evil, where the tank controls were so bad. Like usually, like with old school Resident Evil, the fear and the tension and suspense all didn't really come from the game, but it came from the controls being so bad that you didn't know whether you would be able to aim and shoot and kill zombies before they got to you. It was almost kind of like that playing it on xCloud. I gave them some feedback with the whole feedback section just so that they know.
Yeah, I was doing the same this weekend. Just feedback. Yeah, because I was running into some issues too.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Yeah. MLB The Show wasn't that bad, but it's a slower paced game, so I'm not surprised about that. Visually, and I'm pretty sure this is something that they're aware of and they're going to improve visually. With xCloud on PC, I know they got it set so that like someone on a Chromebook, can play this, but they're using Xbox One S's, which are probably like the weakest Xbox that they currently support. I do believe they plan on upgrading them and the xCloud infrastructure into Xbox Series S, which I think would be much, much better. The load times are also, it reminded me about how bad load times were last gen as well, because the load times were really, really slow too. But oh yeah, Mr. Xbox says LOL, Silent Hill made game fog a gameplay feature. Hey, look, it works for Silent Hill because it's a part of the fog in Silent Hill is a part of the atmosphere. It's a part of the mystique. It made things more mysterious. And Second Extinction and other games. And remember Brute Force?
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, man. I say, so maybe what they're trying to do is pull that whole aesthetic in, since they're kind of like the 2021 Turok, right? So maybe they are channeling like that N64. They're like, we're gonna do fog everywhere. Pull that in, because remember that was the same thing with Turok. So maybe that's what they're going for, that aesthetic.
If that was the goal, they failed.
Is there do you see like a glimmer of hope like for this game? Because I know like when they first showed it at the Xbox showcase, like a lot of people were like up on it because they say, oh man, because again, people bring up Turok, you get to shoot dinosaurs, and we don't know if we're going to get a dino crisis anytime soon. So yeah, being that it's in game preview, is there anything in it that you see that it could be like on its way up, as opposed to like, yeah, this might not do it? Because even in game preview, sometimes you can look at something like, this might not be it.
Right. There's a glimmer of hope with the fact that they throw a lot of dinosaurs at you at once.
Yeah, I heard they throw a lot.
It could get really, really like frenetic very quickly. Like just before you know it, you're fighting one and then two. And next thing you know, there's a dozen like raptors all jumping at you, and it's just like, whoa, wait a minute, how did it get here? And I think if they can capture that feeling of tension with that, and keep it there. But then improve in some of the areas that I spoke about, they could really have something. It's just that right now, with the way it looks for me, it hasn't. I wasn't all that hyped for it in the beginning. When they showed it last year, it wasn't one of the games that I was like, oh yeah, like this is the game that I'm definitely looking forward to. There were other games I was more excited for, but so for me, it was never anything that I was going to be super into anyway. But I think if they could really focus on that, keep that gameplay, kind of like something that Bungie used to say about keeping like every 30 seconds, keeping people
30 seconds of fun.
Yeah, 30 seconds of fun. If they could do something like that, but improve in some of the other areas, I think they got something to work with. Erodimus in the chat says that xCloud is getting updated to Series X as server blades. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought it was Series S, but hey, if that's the case, that's awesome. Anyway, let's. I know we kind of ran late. I didn't want to get too deep into that. That's what I've been playing in addition to Trails of Cold Steel 1. I'm really enjoying the story, and of course Outriders as usual, trying to min-max my builds. Forte, what have you been playing and how you been, man?
I've been good, man. Just, maintaining and been playing a lot of games, different games. This is probably the most variety in games I've played in 7 years, as people probably already know. But I've still been playing a little bit. That's been playing just pretty much PvP, but not even so much that. But played some, like you said earlier, played some Zombie Army with you. I was about to call it Nazi Zombie Army just because that's what you keep calling it.
I keep calling it Zombie War is what I keep calling it. I can't help myself but to call it Zombie War, and it's not Zombie War.
It's not a Zombie Army. But yes, I've been playing that with you. We did our It Takes Two live stream on Tuesday, which was amazing. Like, listen, that game by itself is fun, but when you can play it with I consider one of my best friends, Slow Mo, it makes it even better. We was yelling at each other about dying. I literally renamed the stream where we die a lot. It was fun.
Well, I mean, it was more like you dying a lot because I didn't die that much.
You were talking mess about something that you ended up doing it.
There are people in the chat that saw the stream.
And you died just as much as I did.
Stream. Chat, let me know who died the most. Because we all know, if you watched it, you know who died the most. Clearly, listen. It was Forte. Forte may be great at like shooting and snap to shooting and first person shooters and stuff, but when it comes to platforming, bro, I haven't
really played platformers in a long time. That was like the first time I picked up a platformer in like
it showed
years.
So badly.
It was terrible.
Multiple times I'm just like waiting at the next thing that we gotta do together, waiting for Forte to get through. He's like fall into his death like 5 million times. I'm just like, all right, bro.
But then Slow-Mo would die at the most easiest stuff that's going on in the game.
Dr. Sarakas, no, I did not die a lot, okay?
Yes,
I died a little bit, okay? I died a little bit. It wasn't a lot.
Dying like crazy.
These are lies. These are ridiculous lies. Anyway, my bad. Go ahead, man. Continue.
I'm just saying, we already know what's going on here. You died just as much as me. But overall, I've just been playing games like that in general. And then we got Returnal tonight. I might go live for at least an hour and play it. I don't know yet.
You should do that.
I was thinking about it. What is the mod? Live, die, rinse and repeat? Isn't that what Edge of Tomorrow was about? Yeah. So it's pretty. Every time I see that guy, I just think like, do I really want to play a version of Edge of Tomorrow? But the game looks phenomenal, and your boy guessed that Metacritic score on Braff yesterday, 86 overall. I don't know if it's still holding at 86, but that's what it was earlier today.
You did. You know what, I really was thinking initially 87, but I don't know why I just felt the need to go Price is Right and do like the whole $1 more.
You went 90.
Someone said, I think it was Lemieux that said 89. I said, you know what, 90. Price is Right was in my head. I was about to say 87 or 88, but you were right on the money with the 86, man. And it's really good score.
Well, that's the first number that popped in my head. Like as soon as it's like usually when it comes to games like that, I always just go, what's the first thing that pops in my head? And 86 was literally the first number that popped in my head because when I saw it, I was like, this could be a 90. But for some strange reason, I think it's going to be 96 for a lot of the reasons that a lot of people were saying. Like, it's gonna be a lot of reviewers that just aren't gonna like the whole rinse and repeat, and especially after I started hearing like how long the runs are, because normally in roguelites the levels are pretty short. So, but they're like really intense, but they're short, so it doesn't really take you that long to get to the next part. And this, it just seems like, you got probably like 30 minutes to run through this, and in roguelike terms, that's an eternity.
So is it not a roguelike? Is it just a rogue then, if that's the case?
No, that thing is just a rogue. It ain't no light involved in this. It's probably the roguest of the rogue.
Kofi said roguelite.
Kofi. Yeah, shout out to Kofi. They're also live right now. I like to check them out on then the very next day on Fridays, the replay. But shout out to Press Star Kofi, the Press Star podcast. I heard that Kofi said he's had it since Tuesday. So he said he likes it. He's on the third binome. I think that's what they're called, the third binome.
Mhm.
And he said that he's so far like the third one is the most difficult for him. So something to watch out for, Forte, when you get started with it tonight.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
probably going to start playing it sometime tomorrow. Hopefully, if I have the time. It depends if work isn't too busy. But Eric, how have you been, man? And
Good, man.
what you been playing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. But I got into the xCloud iOS beta over the weekend as well. So I spent some time with that, a couple hours Saturday morning, checking it out. And overall, it wasn't horrible, but I definitely ran into some issues. Now, to be fair, I did try to load up Outriders, and the game wouldn't load. But I said, I can't put this on xCloud. This just might be Outriders.
Oh yeah, it's probably just Outriders.
Yeah. So I just kind of jumped around, checked out a few different games. The biggest issue I had wasn't so much. I did get a lot of lag in some parts of certain games.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest issue I was having, I could not get a Series X controller to connect, like your Bluetooth. Xbox One controller, no problem.
Yes.
The Series X just wouldn't connect. Don't know what it was.
That's you're not alone with that. That is a major issue. I bought my son an Xbox Series S for Christmas, and he was having that issue with his controller. I have the electric blue shock. Is that it? Blue shock series controller. I was on my PC. I was having that issue. I've been using it USB-C to USB-C wired ever since, and I haven't had any issues since doing that. So whatever the issue is with these controllers, whether it be for a firmware issue with the controller itself or something with the Xbox, it's got to be actually firmware with the controller, because I'm having the issue with PC as well. They need to fix it. It's definitely a problem for something when it comes to the Bluetooth of these controllers.
Yeah, they do.
It's really annoying. And
Right.
My bad. Go ahead, continue, man.
Oh no, you're good, man. Because like you said, I wasn't the only one experiencing that, and I think somebody actually did reply to my tweet saying that they were having the same issue. Again, Xbox One controller, no issue. DS4s, no issue. It's just that Series X. I don't know what's like that. So I put feedback in on that. I checked out Resident Evil 7 through it. Not too bad. That actually performed pretty good. The one that was just going wild and bugging out on me was The Messenger. Because I said, let me try like a game like Resident Evil, a little more 3D intense. Let's see how that goes, and then let me just try, something that I thought should just be, fairly easy. But that one, I was getting frame rate drops and lag like crazy, and that is a game that's pretty twitch. You cannot have that. So I mean, I was just running into stuff and dying like over and over. So I was like, all right, feedback on that, and I said, no, I'll give it some time and then try it again like this weekend.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I actually went out and bought my son an Xbox One controller. It's interesting. Controllers are very difficult to come by as well as the systems. Controllers, at least went back when I was trying to buy him one. It was almost like no controllers in my area to find, but I did find him a controller, Xbox One controller, and he hasn't had any issues since using that. So yeah. I don't know why it just popped back up in my head, but yeah, they definitely got to do something with the controllers, because people, it's fine for me and also my son, because my son's Xbox and the monitor he has is at his computer desk, and so he's never too far away in this room. But as well as myself at my desk, I'm never too far away from my PC where I can't have it wired and it's fine. But for other people, say you're playing it on your TV in your living room or basement or whatever, you're sitting on the couch, you don't want to be, have a 5-foot wire connected to your controller, from wherever you're sitting. So it's something they definitely got to work on.
Yeah. That's Artemis said, okay, Apple released compatibility for DualSense and new Xbox controller with the new iOS update.
Oh, nice.
Cool. So I'll look into that. I'll try it again, see what happens there. Other than that, I was playing It Takes Two with my daughter, but then she got got herself into a little bit of trouble last week, so she was a bit grounded from playing games and everything. You know how that is. You know,
absolutely.
When we ground them, we ground ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't think my kid has seen her. She hasn't seen her iPad in 3 months. It seems.
Man, yeah. She's going on a week. No Switch, no tablet, no games with Daddy. Like we can watch. She'll watch some shows and stuff like that with me. But other than that, no, none of the electronic stuff. So hopefully, she's had a pretty good week. We can get back to doing that. Other than that, I'm still playing through Immortals: Phoenix Rising. So working on that one still, yeah.
That was a really good game. I need to finish that.
Yeah,
but let's go ahead get into the topics here. Get into the show. So, we got blessed with a state of play today, and that state of play is was at 5 p.m. Eastern time. It was really short and sweet, to the point. Didn't really have too much going on with it. They only showed the Subnautical, I think that's a DLC or expansion, or maybe it's a whole new Subnautical game, but they showed that, and it being
the second part 2. It was a part 2.
Okay, it's part 2. That's now coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. They showed now Among Us is finally coming to PlayStation, and also if you can, they got, of course, in typical PlayStation fashion, they got like exclusive DLC. There's a Ratchet and Clank DLC look where you get, how like you get the little pets that follow you around in Among Us, where that's Clank, and you get the little the ears from Ratchet as well, so that's exclusive to PlayStation. And then they also showed did a deep dive on Ratchet and Clank, which I have to say I find it curious, because I was told by people that this Ratchet and Clank Rifts Apart, it's nothing new here. There's no difference here between this and the PlayStation 4 game.
That could totally run on a PS4.
Yeah, it could totally run on the PS4.
Right.
The gameplay is not different at all. It's the same exact gameplay. Why? Well, you know what? They did a state of play and went on about 10 minutes talking about all the differences with the gameplay. Curious. Did you guys watch the state of play? And what did you guys think about all the new features of Ratchet and Clank Rifts Apart?
The fact that all that stuff could have been slow-mo. You slow-mo. You up here trying to start a fight with people?
Who start a fight with who? What do you mean?
I don't know. With all the PlayStation fans, you trying to start a fight today?
I am not trying to start a fight today. All I'm saying is that I was told that
this could not be done on a PS4.
No. That's no. You're getting it reversed. I'm not saying it can't be. Whether it can and can't be done on the PS4, I don't care.
Oh, okay, I got you.
What I am saying is that people told explicitly to me there was nothing about that game that could not be done on the PlayStation 4. That's true. That's what they said. But they also said there was nothing new in the gameplay. And I'm just like, but the rifts, and then you can like lasso the rift and then go.
Just teleporting through rifts is different.
It's different already. Shout out to Enrique, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, with the $2 super chat. Says DPS, salute Slow Mo, E Jackson, and Forte. What's up, Enrique? How's it going, man?
Oh, you know what? The fact that Enrique came in here, why won't you you wasn't on the show yesterday. Was the outro that did you hear the outro that he gave you yesterday?
I did not. He did say in the DM that he did an outro for me. I have not had a chance to listen, because he won't put timestamps in there. I ain't got time to listen to the whole show. I want the timestamp.
Yeah, that is true, because our outros do go about 15-20 minutes long.
Shout out Enrique.
Oh man.
I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Patriots are back. Okay, I'm sorry. Patriots are back. That's all I want to say.
We talked about this, man.
Patriots are back. We got. You
did mention that, so my dad admit.
I didn't think we was gonna get the quarterback that we wanted.
Okay, but so we talked about this. No sports.
NFL talk over.
Okay, thank you. So Eric, did you get a chance to watch the state of play?
I did.
All right.
I did.
What did you think about it?
when the indies that they teased, I was like, that's it. 'Cause it was like just two, and it was like two. I was like, personally for me, not for anybody else. I was like, I don't really care about, because I did not care for the first Subnautica. I was like, and like Artemis asked in the chat, I said, are people still playing Among Us? Like, is it still hype?
I haven't played Among Us in a minute. I have to say that. Shout out to the Ash and Luca with the $5 super chat. She said, well, people were saying Returnal was a copy of Recore. And eye emojis. Curious, their minds, where are they? I don't know, Luca. I don't know where their minds are. It must have been rotted out by fanboyism. I don't know, man.
No,
you know what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, they said that, if you squint really hard and just focus on the character and just take all the glitz and the glamour away, that it was basically Recore. So I guess if you squint really, really like
really tight,
really hard, I see Recore. I see a shot of Recore. No, that's not Recore. I don't know.
Now, the one thing I did say, I think I might have said this to you guys. I can't remember for sure, but I said,
Slow-Mo G said,
I said when I looked at Returnal.
Luca said, who's Artemis?
I don't know who that is. I didn't say Artemis.
Oh.
I don't recall that. But my bad. Continue.
Did I say that?
Pull the tape. No, it's definitely Slow-Mo. He's the one.
Continue. We're not going to deal with these distractions. Continue.
Okay. No, I said. Now, I said on the Returnal thing. Now, I remember looking at Returnal and I said, this is what Recore should have been.
Right.
But I never looked at it and said, this looks like Recore. That's two different things, right?
Is it as bad as the comparisons between Rise and God of War? Or is that one worse?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I think they're equal. They're both like, no, stop this. Stop it. Now, but actually, I mean, you could look at Rise and kind of, the fact that they're just both like, third person action like type games. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's pretty much where it stops, because, Rise looks beautiful, like, especially in the cutscene type thing, but it's pretty stiff as far as like the combat is like pretty much more like QTEs, and it's pretty stiff and repetitive in what it's doing,
Right.
God of War, I mean, you just look at them side by side, it's got all kind of stuff going on, and the action and everything.
Do you think it potentially is just people looking at camera angles?
Yeah.
And saying, oh, well, this is a similar combat style game with the same camera angle. Oh, this is a copy of this.
Right. That's it. And the only thing I looked at when I looked at Returnal and made the connection to Recore, I just said Recore would have done better if it had not tried to be like an open world game on top of what it was doing. If it was like a more maybe semi-open world, or just even, point A to point B type game, I think that would have serviced it better as far as, like the way you play it. Then it also wanted to be a platformer, which the platforming parts weren't actually that bad. It was probably one of the better parts of the game, but not to make this Recore cast, I'm saying, because I know we were talking about the state of play.
Right.
But no, other than that, getting to the Ratchet and Clank stuff was cool, because up to that point, like, my daughter had not seen it. So I wanted to make a point to sit with her. And looking at that game, I actually thought the same thing you did at one point. I'm like, didn't people say, looking at this game, I'm like, people did say that this could totally be a PS4 game, and we won't be surprised if they walk it back. Jim Dance Moves Ryan doesn't walk it back and say it's going to be. And I remember looking at it when they first showed, I'm like, I guess they could squeeze it and make it happen, but this does not look like it will be running on a PS4. Not well, anyway.
Right. No, well, real quick, got another super chat from Dirt Griggity in the house. Dirt's in the house. $5 super chat. Appreciate that, Dirt. He says Ratchet and Clank and Returnal Metacritic got some of my Xbox bros tripping. Calm down, fellas. Xbox will be fine. Sony games always be looking fire. Hey, I agree. And also shout out to Dirt and his podcast. We Bleed Green Mondays at, I think that's 7 p.m. I think.
Are y'all gonna be greeting? Are they gonna be bleeding blue this weekend? With all the PlayStation news.
Maybe they might be a little blue. Might be a little bluish. A little bluish. Hey, getting some cases in.
Shout out to that amazing panel.
Oh, absolutely. Eric, continue, man. My bad.
Oh no. So, but yeah, I just kind of walked out of it like, I don't need to see anything else from Ratchet and Clank at this point. Like, just give it to me. Like, I'm just ready for it. But what was awesome is in watching it when they got to Rivet, like my daughter literally like sat up, you know, and she was like basically like who is that type of thing, you know. And that's awesome. And I was just thinking, like, this is the cool part of gaming is when, you know, you have like inclusion and you have something that, you know, relates to a gamer. Because, you know, she's a little girl. So her thing is all like girl power. So when she sees like a girl character, whatever the case may be, like, you know, kicking some ass and doing stuff, then she starts to pay attention. So
Facts.
Yeah. So she's all about Rivet. She goes, I like her tail. Is what she said. I'm like, all right, you know, whatever sticks out to you.
Yeah,
but she was hella impressed, like with me.
Yeah, I like the new character. I like the new dynamic of adding that character into it. It kind of breaks the. I mean, there's been plenty of Ratchet and Clank games already.
Right.
They did the remake, which it was always on my backlog to do, but it wasn't until I saw the trailer earlier this week that I said, you know what, let me just go ahead and finally, because I always planned on playing it before playing Rifts Apart. And I said, let me go ahead and play it. So I've been playing it this week. I'm really enjoying it. But again, it's good to kind of make sure that you have something new. You know, you kind of break the typical, so that you don't have like any kind of IP fatigue. Change some things up. I think that was really smart of them.
Exactly. But no. Overall, I thought. Yeah, it was a good state of play. I mean, they said what it was going to be. I did think there was probably going to be a few more indies than what they showed, but it's all good. You know, we're heading up closer to the like E3 festivities or around that period. I know they're not going to be there, but for a state of play, they got in, they did what they had to do, and they got out. It wasn't like they didn't drag it out. It didn't carry on longer than it needed to. So
yeah, and that's always appreciated. Respect my time. You know, you showed me what we came to see, and we on up out of there. I guess because there was this. You know what? I missed the whole. I got this state of play mixed up with the China showcase that they were going to do. So I need to do some like probably tomorrow check in with that, because that happened today as well, and that's where Lost Soul Aside was shown. We're gonna get into Lost Soul Aside in this gameplay as the next topic later. But I just thought it was well paced, and it was short and sweet and to the point. Forte, what about you, man? Did you get a chance to see it, and how'd you like it?
Oh no, I got a chance to see a little of it because I was at work, but overall, I think it was going to be knocked out of the park. Anyways, I didn't think it was going to. There was really no question around this one for me. I just think that the biggest thing is most people just, you know, when you got two bangers coming out really close to each other, it just seems like that's what just the conversation. Some people like it, some people don't, and. You know, for me, I just take it as a situation where Xbox is doing great. Game Pass is doing great. 22 to 23 million subscribers. PlayStation is finally talking about some great games coming. Returnal looks amazing after getting a chance to see some gameplay of it. Ratchet and Clank with their trailer kind of knocked it out the park. We got a chance to see Rivet, which is I'm more interested in that than anything. And then State of Play just kind of just topped it off by just adding a little bit more sauce to the fire. So I think overall, all these systems are doing great, you know. So I'm super excited. We got Pokemon coming out for Switch tomorrow.
Oh boy.
So, it's gonna be. Look, man, this month, the next month and a half is going to be fire for games. So,
well, that wasn't. I'm not a fan of Pokemon, so my old boy was a very different old boy than yours.
I'm not a fan of it either, but I can also understand and genuinely care about the people I know that's going to be lined up outside my store tomorrow for the 150 pre-orders or 53 pre-orders I had for the game.
Wow.
And those people are those people are Pokemon fans. So
that's crazy.
So check it out. What game you think gonna sell better tomorrow? Pokemon or Returnal?
Oh, clearly Pokemon. I mean, that's not even like Pokemon's probably going to be in the top 10. What you think gonna sell better, Pokemon or Ratchet and Clank? Still Pokemon. Which one you think? You think Ratchet and Clank you think if you put Returnal and Ratchet and Clank together, they go outside Pokemon? No.
Nope.
Pokemon
so once again, Pokemon is a big deal, and it comes out tomorrow. And we also got a game from PlayStation coming out tomorrow. So I'm excited just to see other people excited. So there it is.
That's the thing. Forte is like, I don't care for Pokemon, but I respect it.
I respect it. That's the thing. I respect it.
You know,
you can't do nothing but respect it. At this point, I mean, dude, they got 2 more Pokemon games coming out there. When's the last time they released 3 Pokemon games in 1 year? They're releasing the remakes. I felt
like there was one like every week. Like at one point, I was like,
well, yeah, there was one every week a long time ago. But they got the 2 coming out at the end of this year. I forget what the remakes of I forget what the names of them are, but they come out at the end of this year. And then you got Snap that's coming out now. And I know it's soon. And then think about it. Then they got Zelda Breath of the Wild in the works. We still haven't heard anything about the new Metroid game that they kind of been hush on for a while. So there's an opportunity for them to literally destroy the end of this year, depending on what happens with all these games that they're talking about. And then we got Xbox and PlayStation is doing their thing in the middle of the year. My only thing is what's going to happen at the end of the year with PlayStation, because we know what Xbox got coming at the end of the year. They got Halo. We possibly could get Starfield. Who knows? And then Game Pass, pretty much anything they can get in there day and date from a third party is pretty much an exclusive to Xbox when it comes to just the price point of the game. PlayStation is the only one I'm wondering like what the end of the year is going to look like, but for right now, they're knocking it out the park, and that's all that really matters. Like right now, hearts and minds are still pretty much with PlayStation when it comes to these games that's about to release.
Right. Well, I would say if it's still going to make it, probably Horizon Zero West.
Zero West.
Yeah. So Horizon could be like.
I hope it comes out the end of this year.
I mean, that's if it's still going to make it this year. But if it does, that might be their fall game.
I just want the story to actually be something that I can follow this time and not feel like I'm falling asleep.
I'm still playing through it on PC. It's gotten. I see what people say about the game gets better. I think it's like one of those slow burn games where you have to.
How far in are you?
I'm pretty far.
Have you made it to the castle and stuff, the city?
I made it to the city. I've met the emperor type dude, and I went through that entire story arc part. Now I'm kind of moved on to the next part. So I think I'm very, very deep into it. In that part, when you make it to the city and then you start dealing with that storyline and the whole mystery of what happened to that one captain's sister kind of stuff, that's where the story kind of takes off. And I the game did significantly improve in my interest. And now that I'm gotten a little bit deeper with the skills and stuff, that I'm enjoying the combat a bit more. It's just it took a while to get there, and I kind of hope that Forbidden West actually kind of gets into that stuff sooner.
I did say Zero West before, didn't I?
Yeah, you got me saying in that.
Okay.
Have you been progressing in your stalwart heavy armor set, the Shadow Stalwart armor?
I don't have that yet.
The quest, man, that's the most OP armor in that game.
Yeah, I'll have to.
I got that armor, and I was like, I felt invincible against all these.
Yeah,
everything
it is OP. Once you get that one,
once you get that armor, you feel OP.
What's it called again?
It's Shadow Stalwart, the heavy armor.
Okay,
it gives you like a protection shield and everything. It's ridiculous. It's like there's no reason to wear anything else once you get that armor. But to get that armor is a
you gotta do some.
You gotta do a lot of stuff to get that armor.
Well, that's fine for me. Look, if you get something that's OP, but you gotta go through a lot to get it, cool. Like when I played Ghost of Tsushima, I had to. There's this armor that you get that, I mean, it reduces so much damage. You could really, like, even though I was basically just running through ghosts and killing everybody, like and then doing the whole pose and pause thing after you slice someone down and he kind of like slides to the ground kind of stuff. But if you ever felt like there's a particular quest line with armor where you gotta go to like these villages and they give you pieces of it, and then you got this blacksmith put it together for you, but you get that armor and it's just like if you die with that armor on, it's clearly all your fault. Like it's almost impossible to die with this armor on.
You definitely want that armor, so when you get into because the DLC, I feel like Frozen Wilds is probably the best part of the game.
Yeah,
once you get to the DLC.
Yeah, I haven't. I want to get to that. I haven't got to that yet. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have two scenarios with PS4 games, and both Uncharted and Horizon, where their DLCs were actually better than the
base game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, let's. I think it's about time we moved on to the next topic, and to sum it all up, state of play. Wasn't bad. Wasn't like last time where they just gave.
What was your prediction on it? What do you give it?
Well, I don't give those things a score because they.
Yes, you do. You got to give it a score.
I can't. I'm not giving. I don't. I didn't when they used to do Inside Xbox. I didn't give that a score.
Oh, you didn't give Xbox a score?
No, because they were
sure?
all.
I think Enrique would ask all the time we had to give a score.
Yeah, I'm not really down with giving.
How many? I think he always would ask you how many slaps. How many slaps does it get?
I keep telling you I'm not giving it a score, and you keep trying to make me give it a score. I don't understand what's the problem here.
I'm just asking you because when Enrique asked you to give it a score, you gave it a score. I guess he means more to you than me. That's okay.
Moving on to Lost Soul Aside. So earlier this week, I think it was Tuesday, we finally got graced with some new footage of Lost Soul Aside, and it's been about 2 years since Yang Bing, who is the creator of Lost Soul Aside, and his studio Util Zero Games, has shown us anything from this game, and it looked really good. Still, I think it still had a little bit of jank here and there, but I like what I saw. We got initially 17 minutes of gameplay for it, and then the Game Being came out with another version that had an additional minute added in. It's just like an additional cutscene or so at the end of the entire gameplay reveal, but. I think it has improved a lot with the combat, improved a lot with the visuals. They're definitely getting their feet wet with Unreal Engine 4, and overall, I'm really excited for the game. What about you, Eric? Did you get a chance to see the Lost Soul Aside gameplay? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the update. I was like, that's why when you put in the DM the other day, I was like, we finally getting this game. Because like 2016 was like the first reveal of it, right?
Right.
I was like, man, is this game gonna go the way of Deep Down? Like they showed it, but it becomes like an urban legend. But no, mad hype to get finally an update, and for that to be the update was fantastic. Like these types of games are right up my alley. So I'm hyped. I really dug what I saw. Like you said, yeah, there's some jank, but then there's plenty of time for them to still fix that out, or iron that out, I should say, not fix it out, but yeah, it looks fire, man. It looks incredible. So,
yeah, I think some of the stuff that's new with it that I didn't I didn't anticipate they would do was now you can turn your companion into a hoverboard and actually glide into this areas where you're basically traversing through the map with a hoverboard and still being attacked by enemies, and they got airships now that are attacking you, and you gotta evade them, and then in just 18 minutes you get 3 boss fights.
Yep.
I just thought that just all the different ways that your character has all these different attacks. I'm wondering now. I think with the gameplay reveal, they just have him completely unlocked with everything, just to really show you the whole breadth of what is in store. But I feel like more than likely you can't do all this stuff immediately, and you're gonna have to unlock a lot of these abilities to be able to do the kind of stuff that he's showing you in the gameplay reveal. But it also got me curious on what the controls are like and how the game design is set up with the gameplay in general. Because it just seems like it's so much, and nothing seemed too repetitive with the attacks. It was almost like I was watching a movie or something. But yeah. What did you think about that?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I was just gonna say real quick. What was really cool about it? It definitely. I wonder if some of DMC5 kind of inspired him, like you said, with the hoverboard, your companion or whatever. Because there were scenes where Nero could kind of jump on his hand and glide around the stage or whatever, solving things, and that's yeah, I'm definitely seeing some of that in there, but I'm with that. Hey, inspiration comes from everywhere. So
yeah, absolutely. Forte, what did you think about it?
I think it was really good. I mean, when I was watching it, I was like, "Dog, this looks like an even more over the top version of Final Fantasy 15."
Yeah,
Right.
Call out. That's a good call out for it.
Yeah, the way that you like, just like even looking at the gameplay that you're playing right now, I was like, when I watched it in the stream, I was like, yo, why does this look like Final Fantasy 15? And then I'm like, that's what it is. It's the movement, like the whole dashing around the map and the open areas and 3D, being able to control your characters in 3D space like instantly. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just looking at all the pyrotechnics and the effects that they're using in the game. And look, man, when it comes to games like this, the more you can jazz it up and make it and more icon you can put on the screen really makes these games stand out more. And just to think that this game is made by a development team that is like not even a quarter of the size of what Square Enix does when it comes to the Final Fantasy game, just knowing that this is something that we're going to get. And it looks, I am highly impressed. And I know you've been waiting for something like this to come for feels like a year almost.
It's been longer than that. It's as long as I've been covering Lost Soul Aside ever since I started my channel. And I've been really kind of just like eagerly waiting for this game to come out. And it's always been, I know there's been a lot of behind the scenes just turmoil and tension between Yang Bing and the China Hero Project people, because the game was supposed to be out before the PlayStation 5 came out.
Yeah.
And they definitely missed that bar by, which is understandable considering that this game, when we first saw this game, Yang Bing was making it all by himself. He didn't have a studio behind him.
He didn't have a studio behind him, yeah.
Now he's got like Sony and Epic have been, helping him and providing support for China Hero Project. And they've allowed him, they've helped him be able to kind of get a team together, but they also increased the scope of what they were doing with the game when they did that. So it's not like whatever his initial vision was is now broadened, and now what that vision has changed. There's more that you're adding to the game. That also means that the people that you added are also doing more than what you initially anticipated they would be doing. So now the development has extended on. Now there was an announcement, I think it was either earlier today or last night, that Lost Soul Aside will have a PlayStation 5 version, which kind of gets me thinking that we might actually get a release date soon. Because if you're definitely talking about having a whole different build for PlayStation 5 than from PlayStation 4, then I'm thinking, if you're at that phase of things where you're starting to you're done with like just basic development, you're now starting to get different versions of the game put on different platforms, then I'm thinking you're probably getting close to the tail end of development. At least in my theory, you are. So hopefully, maybe we might actually see it soon. But I still kind of holding to my theory that it's not too soon. I don't think it's going to be out until next year, like 2022. But at least then we know that like they've been working on the PlayStation 4 version and the PlayStation 5 version, so there'll be multiple versions that, and one of them will actually take advantage of the hardware that's the current hardware that's out.
You can definitely feel, every time I look at the game, I always feel like outside of Final Fantasy, just like, the people that made this game must really like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, that's what
it definitely has a lot of Devil May Cry in the combat. Yeah.
When I look at the combat, that's all I kept seeing was like, okay, I see Final Fantasy gameplay where it comes to the environments and the movement, but when it comes to the combat, I just see Devil May Cry all over it.
Yeah, it's definitely got those combinations. But when it comes to Final Fantasy 15, way more in depth fighting. Because like Final Fantasy 15, I could have, even though I quit the game because I couldn't stand it. I was breezing through all combat once I realized all I had to do was do that phase dash into enemies to start every fight, and no one, unless I was fighting at night where the enemies were OP. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. So it was just like, it was so easy. But this seems like this is going to be, a little bit different of an animal than what we got with Final Fantasy 15. Way more focused on the action and the combat than than 15 was. But yeah, I could definitely agree with you about like Devil May Cry. It's definitely got that vibe to it. So I made a comment, and I saw some people on Twitter didn't quite agree with my comment, but essentially I said that it's been so long since we've seen Lost Soul Aside, and with the rise of Chinese developers, like when we first saw Lost Soul Aside in 2016, it was like a shock to see something that looked this good from one dude and a Chinese developer, where you don't really typically hear about a lot of Chinese developers. Since then, China Hero Project is on like phase 3, and they've got some of those games have already come out. Like Genshin Impact has come out and done extremely well. We've seen other games start to get a little bit of press and some publicity from Sony, like Anno Munonium that was shown in last year in one of their showcases. And so we also saw Game Science's Black Myth Wukong, and that one probably was the most impressive out of any of the Chinese developer games. I kind of propose that, maybe this game, people have been waiting for this game for so long that other games have kind of come up and been a little bit more impressive. And I think, and maybe this is just me, but what I've seen from Black Myth Wukong, to me, is a game that has me a little bit more excited than Lost Soul Aside. I think it looks it uses the exact same game engine, but looks way better. Like the combat isn't as fast paced in Black Myth Wukong, but still it has its own style to it. And what Game Science has done that it seems like U2 Games hasn't been able to accomplish yet is have their animations look so amazing and seamless and transitioning from, for example, like when the monkey and Black Myth Wukong transforms from like an insect back into his usual self. There is no jank. Like I couldn't find anything janky in any of the 11-minute gameplay they showed or the trailer that they showed afterwards. Just like nothing like that at all. And so I think some people got a little upset with me comparing them, but I think the comparison makes sense when you got two indie studios from the same region, both making similar kinds of games. That like you can make a comparison like that and say like, well, which one seems to be more anticipated and which one has kind of maybe potentially stolen some thunder from the other. What do you guys think about that?
Go ahead, E.
No, I mean, I'm in agreement with you on that. Because only for the fact that when we see games like this, it's like you get iterations on it, right? But it's not necessarily, like RBK's original. Like even Forte just kind of said, looking at it, he goes, I'm seeing kind of like a mashup here of like Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy 15, but also with like their own little spins on things, right. It kind of pushes like the genre forward. So yeah, for that fact, when I look at Black Myth Wukong, I'm looking at that where I'm not really, my first instinct wasn't to look at it and say, well, I see Devil May Cry in this, right? I won't say it was original because we've seen games like that, but it was doing something that looked more original. Like it almost looked like it was borrowing something from like Souls games, but didn't look like Souls. Like it looked better in most cases. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Souls games are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it looked like they were trying to do like their own thing with, like you said, like the way, the character transitions into different things. It wasn't just a flurry of like, particle effect and lights and everything like that and weapons flying all around the place. It looked like it's more methodical in the combat that it's trying to do.
Right.
And stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know why people would trip for you to kind of make that call out or whatever, because as like you said, I'm kind of with you in that fact. Like what left that bigger impression is Black Myth came and it was like, what was it? Like, look what it did to the timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember.
Exactly.
Everybody, I mean, everybody was hype, and like Xbox dudes were doing the usual thing where they're going to Phil, like, buy them. Like, well, like, you know,
Buy
that
the
kind
studio.
of thing.
Hurry.
Now. You know?
They haven't even dropped the game yet. Buy the studio.
Yeah, and there's certain games that come along where everybody's just kind of on the same accord. Like you had, like, you know, people put the weapons down. You know, you had PlayStation guys and Xbox dudes, and yeah, that looks dope. You know, and everybody's kind of celebrating that. And I'm not saying Lost Soul Aside doesn't do that, but you kind of look at it and you kind of say, well, yeah, kind of, it looks like the types of things that I've seen, but I still love. So I'm looking forward to playing it. Where Black Myth Wukong felt like, you know, that looks okay.
Something new.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we know the story. We know, you know, Journey to the West. We're familiar with that, but yeah, that looks like it's trying to do something a little different. So,
yeah, when I saw it, I was like, Black Wukong. I was like, man, what makes this game different? And it's more the photorealistic look they went with it. You know, bigger than life enemies. Combat was just off the chain, fast paced. I wouldn't be surprised if that game is something that could run well above especially on PC. But like the gameplay I saw, we were looking at, if that was actual in-game game in Ass's gameplay, that could have been running at 120 something plus frames per second. How fast it was moving and stuff. And I think that from a presentation standpoint, really, really does stand out a lot. And I think that's pretty much what kind of took everybody surprised, because the presentation was just on another level from a developer that nobody knew anything about. So when you see something like that, you're like, you kind of pay, you know, notice to it, because we're getting, you know, games nowadays that, yeah, they look good. We definitely can say that, you know, they put some work into it, but when you see something that stands out like that, is, you know, people remember that. So I think, to me, that's the number one thing that kind of stands out about Black Wukong. But the one thing I always tell people, Final Fantasy 15 looks great too. It just depends on if you actually care about the story itself and all the different parts of that game, which a lot of people do. I know some people that swear by that game, and if you can actually get into the DLC is actually some of the stronger parts of Final Fantasy 15. So when I see Lost Soul Aside, it's more of a, I see, you can see the, what's the word I'm looking for? You can see the beginnings and what they actually try to model it after, versus a game like Black Wukong, where they try to do something completely, probably not different in the gameplay department, but they visually went in a direction that was pretty much their own. And I haven't seen a game that kind of stands out visually like that, compared to when we, you know, what we were seeing on the PS4 and Xbox One. And I still think that's probably one of the more graphically looking games that we seen anything of as of right now, until we start seeing more of these next generation games that have been delayed start being showcased.
You guys, here's a question for both of you. Do you think it's possible that Black Myth Wukong's success in promoting the game and getting the hype that it got could be they could lend some appreciation to Lost Soul Aside, kind of seeding the overall global market with a Chinese developer's game?
It didn't hurt. Not at all. I mean, the more, because
what I mean is that if there wasn't a Lost Soul Aside, does Black Myth Wukong still get the kind of press that it got, to the point where we even see Digital Foundry breaking down the video and going through it and literally every source out there really going through what they saw and marveling at it? Would it still be like that if there wasn't?
I think so. I kind of think so, just because, you know, right now, especially, you got to think, when did they show that game off for the first time? What was it, last August or something like that?
Black Myth Wukong was last year. Yeah,
last year. So you got to think what we're in. You know, I think maybe in a different year, maybe not. But I think the fact that everybody was very hyper focused on every little piece of news and every little announcement of a new game that was being talked about last year, because there was no E3. People were stuck in a house getting all their information. They had, you know, you pretty much had to get it yourself. unless you have friends that, you know, reached out to you and told you the stuff when you were just stuck in your house. So I think a lot of this stuff that normally probably would be a footnote in the conversation ended up being large talking pieces. And especially when you're talking about a lot of people like in our community, when it comes to YouTube and podcasts and people talking about all these different things that they saw at these events, this was the first thing that stood out. You know, when we were looking at all these different events, and I don't remember what event it was shown at. Was it shown at a State of Play or something, or was it shown somewhere else? For the first time,
Black Myth Wukong was shown independently. I don't think it wasn't shown. It was just dropped, and people were just like, dropped. "What is this?" Yeah.
And all I remember is the day that it came. I couldn't remember if it was an event or somebody for somebody else, but all I remember is when it happened. I was like, "Yo, where did this come from?" And I think it just basically was one of those things that just kind of got picked up, and people was like, "Yo, this looks fire," and then. The more and more people talked about it, the more, you know, more and more people, the more and more the news outlets picked up. Because let's be for real, we started, I don't know if you guys noticed it this year, but, you know, even mainstay news outlets like IGN and stuff, especially since they've been allowing their talent and their editors and stuff like that to go out and start doing content on their own. Shout out to Dustin Legary doing his own thing on his channel. But you've been seeing a lot of the same stuff that we talked about in the community. You start to see them do it. So I think that has a lot to do with it too, because there's a vested interest in what the community is saying, because we drive the conversation more than anything. We may not make the final decision on what actually does good and what does bad, but we have a large voice because we're the ones that talk to our friends about it and get our friends hyped about it. And then if they see us talking about it and they see that we're 100%, that means they can go in and start talking about that stuff and they get even more people hyped. So I think that's where the excitement for this game kind of came from, just on the visual standpoint and the way that it looks and plays. But in any other year, this would have just been a footnote. It's just that last year was just a weird year where every little piece of news that did come out was exciting news for everything, good or bad.
Yeah, that's good. You mean like the captive audience type thing?
That's all it was. And to an extent, we still are a captive audience. To an extent, we're still waiting to see how's E3 going to play. Think about it. That's all we keep talking about. How's E3 going to play out this year? No one really truly knows. All we know is we don't want to have an E3 like last year, where everything is spread out over 5 months. And now, if you're a YouTuber or a content creator, that was fine. That was great for you. You were able to always have conversations and talk about stuff that was coming up in the future. But for a gamer, for a person that wants to know the information, like how much these systems cost, when they coming out, why are we still not knowing this information going deep into September? Stuff like that is the stuff that kept the crowd captivated. But along the way, every new game that got announced and released, we were on pins and needles, and everybody was either excited or they were like, this is bad, this is trash. And it was, you know, that's just the mob mentality to, you know, the conversation, or slave to the conversation that they want to have versus the conversation that's being had right in front of them.
Right. Yeah. Remember when we were like really like we were young and dumb and thinking like,
yeah,
oh man, we're gonna have months of gaming information just coming at us. That's gonna be fire. And by the time we got into that, it was like, this is the worst.
The implementation was not the best. And you know, I still think that the way things, the future is the way things were last year, where everyone does their own thing, but it has to get tighter. I think part of the reason why it was so spread out and seemed so disorganized and really frustrating for people who were used to just getting everything in 1 week was that, one, E3 wasn't there, but two, the pandemic really hit people as hard as they did, and they just weren't even capable of really delivering on a more concise delivery of information that the way they wanted. Like Jeff Keighley came out and said, like, you know, Summer of Games could have been a lot better, and I think that he sees that, you know, that he would hype up something like Epic's got something to show us, guys, and it's like literally you're just showing a demo, an impressive demo of Unreal Engine 5. But no, there's no game here. There's just a demo. And I think that really disappointed people. And you would see over time, it was like every other day, there was another Summer of Games thing that was something that would have been just filler at E3. And so that became an issue. And I think that what I mean by I think the ESA doing E3 is dead. Like it's coming back, but as you saw, they even had to kind of like fall back on some of the things they wanted to do because they were all trying to, get these publishers to spend money and do all kinds of other stuff, and they just like, we don't need you. We could do this on our own. And I think the ESA kind of figured like, all right, well let's fall back a little bit. They got some support, not from the people that already been said they were done with E3 like Sony and EA, but they do have some support. We'll see how it goes, but I really think E3 is a relic now. Its time is gone, and we're going to start seeing, I think, all of these publishers and all of these platforms doing their own thing going forward in the future, but they'll make sure to deliver it all at least within like 2 weeks. So instead of like it being an entire summer and then Microsoft and Sony doing the stare down for half the year on the most basic of things like the price of the consoles, knowing damn well they already knew what the price was. They just kind of worried that the other one might undercut them. But like that dragged on to like September. Like that kind of information normally would have been told to us in June, and that was just unfortunate. It was annoying as hell. I couldn't take it.
Right.
But let's move on to. I didn't have this in the official topics list, but I had it in the title. And I wanted to talk about Returnal. So Returnal is, and we spoke about it a little bit earlier in the intro, but Returnal was coming out, and reviews have been popping up on Returnal. And as we mentioned before, Metacritic score was 86 as of the last time I saw it. Very solid, very, very good Metacritic score. The feedback mostly for the game is very favorable. People are enjoying it. They are surprised that a studio like Housemarque who really didn't have a lot of games that were big on narrative, would have such a very strong narrative game, as well as their first time doing third-person perspective 3D combat like this, and nailed it. And so I think that's to be commended for this a studio that I always say you're one of the better studios out there, and you've leveled up when you can actually successfully do a particular genre of game and then switch it up. And your switch up is just as quality as your previous games. You're now looked at on a higher level than you were before. I feel that way about Respawn when they did Jedi Fallen Order. I felt that way about Sucker Punch when they did Ghost of Tsushima. Guerrilla when they did Horizon Zero Dawn. Anytime that you're able to show how versatile you are, is part of the reason why I think Insomniac Games is PlayStation's best developer, because Insomniac could literally do anything. You could have them do anything, and you just know based off of their experience and what they've done and proven in the past, they'll nail it. It's something that I think that Playground Games is going to be able to show with Fable, that a quality developer isn't just, hey, you're just a developer that makes really great racers. No, it's the process, it's the culture, it's knowing how to develop a game, and having your work ethic and your culture be superior than other studios is the reason why you're able to nail it. And I think Playground Games and Fable will show that too. But back to Returnal. We've had some it's been an interesting day with these reviews. There have been a couple of reviews out here that have, and I said this last night on Brap, I said this was going to happen, that we were going to get reviewers complaining about the difficulty. And so here we are, and we've had some very interesting comments from some reviewers. What did you guys think about these reviews? Eric, you can go first.
I haven't read any of them really, but I just kind of looked at the aggregate, like what like the Nibble put out. I think is that how you say his name? Nibble, whatever. Or Wario retweeted. So I saw like
Nibellion.
Yeah, Nibellion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was like, wow, because I wasn't quite sure how that was going to come in, because from what we were hearing like earlier in the week, and over the weekend, with some of these impressions and everything, right? So, so the reviews themselves, like if you're just looking at the numbers, I'm like, that's like hella impressive. I don't know who fully completed. I'm hoping the majority of them did. So I need to go through and actually look at some of what they were saying. Cause like I said, I don't typically read through reviews. I kind of see something I want to play. I kind of rock with that, that doesn't really sway me. Like I'll just look at the number and keep it moving. But I do want to see what some of them had to say about it, because especially after Power Picks put out, that comment that he did, about the Mein Leben difficulty. I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. But it kind of seemed like that was out there.
His comment said that the difficulty of this game reminded him of the Mein Leben difficulty in Wolfenstein 2.
Yeah, and I was like, that's crazy, because that's like a difficulty that you unlock, and that shit's insane. And I know Power Picks actually did it because they have like the trophy and achievement guide for it, right? So that resonated. So I kind of want to see what some of those comparisons were. But then on the flip side of that, I see somebody like a Kofi who's not putting a number to anything. Kofi just gives his impressions, and Kofi and I kind of align. Like we're kind of like, sometimes when he puts things out there, I kind of get a sense of what he's talking about. So, but just looking at the reviews, again, from a quality standpoint, it looks like it's there if you're going to judge it on that, right? Mm-hmm. And it lines up with what we're actually seeing from the game. And the one constant that I'm seeing through preview and everything else is people saying this is definitely a Housemarque game. So if you know what they do, you know what you're going to be getting into. And right. It's Housemarque game is difficult, but if you stick to it, you can proceed, and you can achieve and things like that. So yeah, so it's cool. Like to see, like, here we go. What's the test going to be? We got it. The $70 game, which is controversial. The reviews seem to match it. Will the general public overall continue rocking? Because those reviews might get people picking it up, and maybe it's going to be something different. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Forte, what do you think, man?
Yeah, so I read a couple of the reviews, and from what I was taking from them is the fact that it's not that the game is definitely hard because it's a Housemarque game, and it like E just said, if you played their games before, you kind of know what you get yourself into, and you just got to persevere. It's been like that pretty much for all of their games at a certain point if you want to play them at a very high level. It's just the fact that this is the first one where you actually introduce the roguelike or rogue element to it. And the one thing that I think a lot of people are misconstruing is there's a difference between difficulty, and then there's difficulty with status effects that they add to the game that make it the perception of it being even harder. Like if you're like every review I looked at, they said, having the negative debuffs and status buffs in the game that could just randomly, when you pick them up, you don't even know what you're picking up until you have it. It has suit malfunctions and all this other stuff. That kind of just adds to the already what's the word? It adds to the tension that you already have in the game, and the fact that the runs are so long. Like I said, in a roguelike, you're talking about runs like it's something like Hades or something like Hollow Knight and stuff, which are superb roguelites. You're talking about 10, maybe 15-minute runs per level. And now none of the reviews I watched really gave a length to it. But if the way they're talking about it, you're talking about a run through a level, because there's no saving in between levels, and with it being all procedurally generated. Yeah, procedurally generated. Mm-hmm. So even when you do die, it could be like kind of it's the same area, but a completely different layout. I think that's the thing that kind of just gives it even more perceived, a more perceived version of just difficulty. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you're good enough to get through, I can see right now, if people are good enough to get through runs without dying, then they won't even see what that perceived difficulty is, because I think that's part of the difficulty in going back and picking up status effects, and then the world changing. Then a lot of people just get tired and fatigued. And I think that's another thing too, especially if the runs take as long as they say they take. So it's going to be a different experience for everybody. If you're the type of person that likes to beat their head up against the wall until you finally complete something, then this game is probably going to be the one that's for you. I can see a lot of people buying this game and definitely probably putting it down. I said it on Brap yesterday. You know, there's a reason that if you want, I guarantee you call a GameStop and say, hey, do you got Demon Souls for the PS5? And they say, yeah, we got it. You say, can you hold me one? And they're probably going to tell you, oh, no, we got a lot of them. Because every store got about 15 to 20 copies of that game in their store. Because it's sold like crazy because it was a PS5 exclusive. And a lot of people just didn't understand what the perceived difficulty in that game really, truly was. So I think that's going to kind of be the same thing with this. Housemarque gave it a very, very nice coat of paint and made it look very flashy and very appealing. And if you're a Housemarque fan, you're going to buy it just because you know what kind of games they like to play, they like to make. But you're also going to get those casual people in there that they see difficulty and they're like, oh, this can't be as hard as, I mean, everybody's saying it's hard, but how hard could it really be? Until you get into the game and you start beating your head against the wall and repeating levels over and over again. So I can see where some of those reviewers are coming from, but reviewers giving it like 6s and 7s. Oh, well, 7's not that bad, but 6s and stuff. Like that's what we give Cyberpunk. And that's what most of these reviewers didn't give Cyberpunk when it was broken and all this other stuff.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense, Forte.
Right. So we're giving Cyberpunk 9s and 10s, and you know, the game was busted out of the gate. And then we're giving games like Returnal a 6 and a 7 and an 8. And it's not because the game's broken. The game is actually functioning the way it should function. It's just that you're not good enough to play the game the way that it needs to be played in order to feel like you are having an experience that is benefit to what you think it should be. Versus the thing about a roguelite is your experience is how good you are at the game. And that's the thing that you need to take from it. If you're good enough, you'll beat this game in 14 to 18 hours. That's what I saw one reviewer. He said, I rolled credits at 18 hours. I'm at 40 hours. And he was like, he was doing all the extra quests. And he was trying to unlock the secret endings and stuff like that. But he said he rolled credits at 18 hours. So if you're good enough, you'll roll it you'll roll it quick. But if you're one of these people that struggle, then this game may not be for you. But I'm excited because it's a challenge and it's something new to play.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think this is, I mean, as I said before, I expected some reviewers who seem to be in this industry as games media only because they couldn't get into political media. And
it's like the easiest form of media to get into.
Right. They don't seem to be gamers, and they seem to always have another agenda that isn't like telling me if this game is worth buying or not, worth playing or not. I'm like, I don't care about your politics. I don't care about how you feel about the state of the world. Can you tell me about this game and can you review it? And it seems like some of these people really like anytime I see someone advocating for like auto mode where it's just like so you want to watch a movie? Go watch a movie. Like play the game.
What are we doing here? And people that cap for them slow mo, like you don't know, you don't understand. Like they're busy.
I'm busy.
I'm busy too.
I'm like, man, I got a wife and 3 kids, a house, and a full-time job. I'm busy, yet I'm still willing to play a game that has a difficulty that's a little bit higher than play school level. Like, come on. Like, what are you talking about, man?
It's called playing games.
Yeah, like it's not called watching game. Like, you know, if that's who you are, and I'm not like because there's clearly an industry for that. That's why we got streamers. You know, there are people who are entertaining, and they got huge followings on Twitch or Facebook gaming or YouTube gaming, and people like to watch them for how they play, how they interact with their community, and how they play games. And that's fine. You know, those people are entertaining. Watch them, enjoy them. But that's different than playing games. Like if you want to watch a game, go watch it. You want to play a game, then that should be a different review. Like it's so wild. But I to really kind of get into what this topic really should have been. It's kind of my fault for mislabeling it because I just had it showing this Ratchet and Clank trailer. I wanted to kind of combine both Returnal and Ratchet and Clank to kind of talk about something that, and this is kind of a little bit of a curveball for both of you, but is hardware. I already know kind of answered this question, but I'm gonna ask both of you. Is hardware always necessary to make sure you have the best looking games? Because clearly, we know that the Xbox Series X is a more powerful console than the PlayStation 5. We know this, but yet consistently, we have seen that the best looking games are not on the Xbox console. Very recently, Drew Murray, who just left the Initiative, he was a creative director for the Initiative. Originally, before that, he was creative director at Insomniac, and he had been there for 20 plus years. He's worked on Resistance 1, Resistance 3. He was the lead director for Sunset Overdrive, and he left Insomniac to help with the Initiative. He helped get the development started on the new Perfect Dark game, the Perfect Dark remake that the Initiative is doing. And then he decided to go back to Insomniac. Maybe he felt more comfortable there, whatever. I mean, that would make sense if someone has worked at a company for 20 plus years. I see that all the time in my company. People leave, go to another company for a year, feel like, you know what, I liked it where it was, back where I was, even if I was making less money to go back there, or maybe just, no upward movement in salary, but just maybe flat salary just to go back, just because they're more comfortable there. It makes sense. It's fine. But he recently came out and said that he thought that the new Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now you can say like, well, he's biased. He works at Insomniac. He's also not working on this game, but he said it's the best looking game he's ever seen. I think that Insomniac has made the best looking games on the PlayStation 5 platform. I think Miles Morales, to this point, me personally, Miles Morales is the best looking game I've seen on next gen consoles. But play that game with the performance mode and ray tracing on. It's light ray tracing, but it's ray tracing. But the lighting effects is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful game. Best looking game I've seen on consoles, period. And Drew is saying that to him, this Rift Apart game is the best looking game he's seen. What do you guys think about this? Is it the hardware, or is it the talent of the developer that really determines how a game performs and looks?
Or do you want to jump in first?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So it's a mixture. It's mostly always going to come down to talent. Talent always is the one, because they're the ones that literally take what the machine is and gives it its identity. If you don't have developers that can push the envelope, or developers that can truly make your platform shine in the best ways possible, then you're not going to get the best results. That's something I always will 100% support, because we seen it throughout all of last generation. PlayStation did start with a more powerful platform, but remember when the generation first started, Xbox had the better games. Rise Son of Rome was the best game that was shown on any platform as a launch title on the original Xbox, which was a VCR, which was woefully underpowered compared to the PS4. So we saw a game that was much more superior in graphical fidelity. Maybe gameplay probably wasn't where everybody wanted to be, but where the graphics stood out, Rise on the Rome still stands up today. That game is phenomenal, especially if you play it on PC now. So we saw an instance with that on Xbox before, where good developers got a chance to really code for a game and really, show and stress their stuff when it comes to that platform. Now we're seeing the same thing. For the most part, with PlayStation throughout the second half of the whole generation, where the Xbox One X was out, and that was the most powerful system. Now, did we have games along the way that did show up and play and look very good? Yeah, I would say Halo 5 was a very, very, very good looking game. Mm-hmm. But when you got games like God of War, and you got games like Horizon Zero Dawn, and you got Last of Us and Uncharted, and not only are those good looking games, but the stories and the experiences are second to none, then it makes every game that comes on on another platform just like pale in comparison. That doesn't mean that the system can't do it. Like I always tell people, they make it seem like the Xbox Series X can't do it, because it can do it. We know the hardware is capable of all of the experiences and the gameplay and the graphical fidelity that we even get on PlayStation games. But the difference is Xbox, they may have them now, but up until this point, they haven't had those developers that are willing to push that boundary, not just in the graphical sense, but just in the gameplay sense, to make the game stand out and make the story stand out, to make people care about those games as much as possible. We thought Halo was going to be that game, and it still might be that game, but we got to take a wait and see approach on that, because it comes out at the end of the year after a woeful viewing of the game from last year. So there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be ironed out when it comes to that with the Xbox side. But PlayStation's kind of proved that over the course of this generation so far, going into last generation, that even if our system is underpowered, we have better developers. Now, who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years? Who knows what the initiative's going to do with Perfect Dark? We don't know how that game's going to turn out and look. I think Gears 5 looks amazing. I think it's one of the best games that's on Xbox. And I think Forza Horizon is another really great looking game that's on Xbox. But those are games that they've been working on, over the course like forever. And those are the games that everybody are kind of a little bit tired of. And we just want those new experiences. So I do believe that it does matter. Developers are the ones that push the narrative. They're the ones that make the games look as great as they can look. But Xbox has a lot of games coming up and a lot of opportunity with these 23 studios to really push that narrative forward and completely change it. But as of right now, God of War Ragnarok, we already know what it looked like on PS4. We're expecting it to look like that, but even better on PS5. We saw some gameplay or some in-game assets for Horizon Zero Dawn. We think that's going to look freaking phenomenal. And we also saw a tech demo that Unreal did for Unreal 5, and just to show the possibilities of what the PS5 can actually do. So it's going to be a battle at this point. Me personally, frame rate matters more than anything, and these developers has complete control over that too. So it's just going to be time to see what actually happens. But I do think developers matter more than anything when it comes to the games in general versus the system and platform it's on.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out something that Kay Asante in the chat just said. That was actually really, really great point. He said, just because you have the best hammer doesn't mean you'll build the best house. That's an amazing analogy. The experience of the carpenter makes the difference. And I fully agree. E, what's your perspective on it?
Yeah. Kay Asante hit it like on the head. Yeah, like how do I say this? Like what he's saying, like a tool can only go as far as the person that's using it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what it comes down to. It's like studios like Insomniac have been doing what they've been doing for a long time, right? So would they do the same thing if they had a Series X in hand or a Series X dev kit and they were doing that? Yeah, I think they completely take advantage and figure out what they're doing with it. I know people talk about the tools and everything, but I just go back to what, I'm not a game designer. I don't do that kind of stuff. I know we have a lot of people in like the bubble who believe they're game designers and they like to tell game designers how it really is. So I kind of like listen to people who tend to know more. And I'm not talking about people who read somebody else's blog and then go report it on their YouTube channel. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are actually in the understanding of this and who have said both machines are extremely capable, but it comes down to who is using it, right?
Right.
So I'm with Forte. I think both these machines are completely capable of creating fantastic looking games. Who's going to come out, like of the Xbox camp and truly nail that? You know what I'm saying? Like Forte said, Gears 5 looks really good. Busters I thought was one of the best looking games on the Series X. That's Coalition. But with that, I said, now I want to see what Coalition can do outside of Gears.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like let them spread their wings, because that's going to help them be even better if they come back to Gears. Even though I think at this point, Gears really needs a complete overhaul, but that's neither here nor there. So who's going to be next from that side? We've seen where, when it comes to like the PlayStation side of the development, their studios have been at this for a long time, and they tend to, of course, naturally should understand how the systems work, how the development works, and you see it get better and better and better as the generation goes on. They usually hit it pretty well when the generation starts, but by the end of it, they understand that machine inside out. So it kind of goes back to what Santi said. It's like they've been given the tool, they know that tool better than anyone, and they have the talent to make a beautiful house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we start to see more of the first party side of Microsoft, and we're hearing the stories where they have like summits and they get together and they talk, the more they start understanding the tools, we're going to start seeing who is the cream of the crop, who's going to rise to the top, because cream rises to the top,
Yeah.
And who is the sucker bit? Not every, that's just how it is. It's like a team. You're going to have your superstars and you're going to have your role players.
Yeah. I agree with you guys completely. Talent over tools every day of the week. I can't build a car, but you give me all the tools necessary to build a car. Guess what's going to happen? You ain't getting the car because I don't know how to do it. And I'm not saying that like they're
12 hours later, Slow-Mo still sitting in the driveway like, what does this do?
Right. And I'm not saying that like, there are developers out here who can't even do the basics of their job, but there's a level, there's clearly a skill gap in a lot of different areas. And I remember I remember playing the Last of Us Part 2 on an original PlayStation and looking at the visuals of that game with its 1.4 teraflops and saying this is better than a lot of the games I have been playing at that time on my Xbox One X.
Right.
And it looks better, and solid, performs better, barely had any glitches or issues whatsoever. And just that level of expertise it's the reason why they're considered one of the best in the industry. And I just something that I thought was interesting, because I kept seeing so many people like look also with Returnal talking about how very good Returnal looks and how Housemarque was able to nail the aesthetic and the look of the game, the art style for their first time in this foray. And it just got me thinking about like, well, this game looks good. Is coming out on the weaker next-gen console, as well as Rift Apart, which is being praised for how beautiful it looks. And it's just something to think about. But
it's a funny thing that you said that too, because that was something people would always highlight. They're like, this game looks amazing on a base PS4. It looks even better on a PS4 Pro. But the funny part about all that was, those damn machines sound like they were about to explode pushing those games.
Oh yeah. It was definitely out of breath. Who's running the vacuum? Oh, that's my PlayStation. My bad. That thing was loud. It was crazy.
For real. Somebody walked in the room like, why is it so hot in here? Like, oh, is it? There's a machine over here.
I'm just playing God of War.
Right.
I figured, like why use up our electricity? I'll just turn on God of War and heat up the room.
Right.
But no, to move on to our last topic. Last topic is about Xbox and PlayStation sales. We got a lot of information in regards to the performance of the next-gen consoles in these two platforms this week. And I found it to be very illuminating, so to speak, about how well those both consoles are doing. And I think it's something that we shouldn't have been shocked about, obviously. Clearly both consoles are selling out There's not enough systems out there for people to get their hands on. I'm still trying to help one of my boys get an Xbox Series X.
Me too.
I almost was able to help him get one today. I saw that there was one available and it was gone. I'm still trying to help another friend of mine get a PlayStation 5. The Target in my area had one available at their store. I tried to, I told him, look, you need me to grab it, I'll grab it for you, just pay me back. But he said, yeah, go ahead and do it. And just in that exchange, it was gone. It was gone. Right. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, like, I almost had it for you, man. But it's really difficult to get these consoles, and so that has shown that, like, it's really been a major success for these platforms. So I'm gonna pull up some statistics real quick about those. But as I do that, Forte, what do you think about the sales of these consoles real quick?
Sales, man. I hate talking about sales of consoles because you can't find them.
You work in sales.
I hate talking about these sales because people, you know how many times I get asked, when PlayStation gonna be available in store? When Xbox gonna be available in store? 20 times a day. 20 times a day. At least
blowing up the phone still.
At least 20 times a day. No, man, look.
Hold on. Before you get deep into it, I want to say the statistics for both of them real quick, and then we can get it. So, Z Huge, Daniel Ahmad on Twitter reported that Microsoft reported gaming revenue of $3.53 billion for the quarter ending March 31st in 2021, up 50% year over year. Xbox content and services revenue up 34% year over year, driven by strong software sales plus Game Pass growth. Xbox hardware was up 232% year over year due to Xbox Series X and S demand, plus favorable competition versus last year. He said this will be the best Q1 for Microsoft's gaming division since they started breaking out numbers at about 6 years ago. Hardware growth primarily due to the launch of the Xbox Series consoles, which wasn't a factor last year, of course. Game Pass continues to grow as well. Game Pass numbers are officially at, I know it was, some people were saying 23, but it's not quite 23 yet. It's at 22 million subscribers for Game Pass at the moment and growing. And I anticipate it'll probably hit 30 before by the end of the year at least. So that is Microsoft looking good so far. They didn't report hardware numbers for the Xbox Series consoles as usual.
Of course.
PlayStation company earnings for PlayStation is they reported 7.8 million PlayStation 5 sold so far, which is at this point more than what PlayStation 4 has sold at that point. 47.6 million PlayStation Plus subscribers, 338 million games sold for PS4 and PS5 in the past year, and 24.4 billion in gaming revenue in the past year. So, yeah, that's I'm fairly certain that both companies are happy with where their results are right now. Now, all that said, Forte, you can continue, bro.
Man, I think in general, like you said, both systems are doing phenomenal. I think a lot of people don't think it's doing as well because they don't see these systems in stores and stuff, but they're selling like crazy online. As soon as they go up online, they go. And I can basically tell you right now that these systems are available on websites. They just choose to pick when they're going to put them out, and they go as soon as they're gone. There's a reason that they're breaking all of these records. Xbox is the most fastest Xbox selling of all time. PlayStation is the fastest PlayStation, selling of all time. And it's mostly just due to the fact that, people really, truly want these systems. Some people, it's the fear of missing out. As soon as you see them pop on a website, even if you don't got the money, you're going to buy it. And it's also got something to do with the fact that, Uncle Joe out here giving stimulus money to people and might be giving people $300. Uncle Joe, he out here. That's my wife, call him Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe out here might be giving people $300 of what is it, every 2 weeks or a week? You never know. At this point, we printing this money for people. So yeah, these systems this is phenomenal. It doesn't shock me one bit at all. Gaming has been in a huge uptick ever since this pandemic started, and it's not good. And I think the cat's out of the bag. I think people, even people that didn't play games for a long time, or they gave up games because they were working too much and stuff like that. I think a lot of those people, because I see them all the time and I talk to them, they say, yo, I haven't played games in a while, but I needed something to do. And man, I miss playing games. I miss this feeling of just being, talking to my friends or playing Call of Duty or NBA and stuff like that. So I think a lot of these people are just here to stay. And we're not even talking about the majority of people, because there's a lot of hardcore fans out there. We see it every day, Slow-Mo and Ejac on Twitter. I just got my Xbox Series X. I just got my PS5. So there's a lot of people in this community that are hardcore that still haven't gotten their systems yet. So I think this number is just going to just continually to keep going up. You take stuff like Game Pass for Xbox that really is a system seller in itself, because people are literally seeing like, yo, if these games are showing in their day and date for just the price of a subscription, that's a benefit to me. And then you got PlayStation doing the same thing with games like Returnal and stuff, saying, yo, Returnal is going to be on PlayStation 5 only. I can't play that on my PS5. Ratchet and Clank is only on PS5. I can't play it on PS4. So just that FOMO of missing out on those type of games, people are going to go out and get them. And then I just think, I wouldn't be surprised. I think they said, what was the numbers for PlayStation up to this date?
For the console sales?
For the console.
7.8 million.
They're going to pass, they'll pass well past 12 million systems sold this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
they might hit 15. They might hit 15. I don't think Xbox is going to be too far behind, because I think we're in a day and age, and this kind of goes back to the bet that I lost to Slow-Mo for a game called Cyberpunk that he ended up, that's broke. But I lost this bet to Slow-Mo. But this is the argument I was making with people back, last year. Whatever system has more stock is going to sell no matter what. And we're seeing that now. PlayStation has way more stock than Xbox has. They had I don't know if that's the same case that's going on right now, but PlayStation, they allocated way more stuff in the very beginning than Xbox does. So until these systems are available to pick up in your local store, you're going to continue to keep seeing these things sold out everywhere. And we're seeing projections of, going into 2022, which is crazy. But ultimately, everybody's going to do well. They're all going to just keep selling. PlayStation is going to probably be around 15 million by the end of the year, if I had to put a number on it. If Xbox ever did put a number on it, they probably would be around 10 to 12 million. I think they're pretty much going to be even Steven through the rest of this year. But then the whole thing is going to really ramp up once these systems start hitting stores, and people don't have to just grab the first thing they see. Then people will have the opportunity to buy what they truly want. Because I think that's kind of drawing the narrative too, because if you can't find a PlayStation, you might just settle for an Xbox. And that's something a lot of people are doing on both sides. They might want an Xbox, but they might just settle for the PlayStation just because they want to get something. So that's kind of working. That's kind of a thing at work too, through this whole conversation about these next gen consoles too.
Yeah.
What's up,
I was
man?
gonna say, no, that FOMO is definitely real.
It's real.
It puts that frenzy in. Cause Slow-Mo was the same thing. Cause two of my coworkers, one needs a PS5 digital, one needs a Series X, and I've been striking out. I'm telling you, for me, it's like there was a period where we were getting like drops, like it seemed like every other day. And it seems like to me anyway, the drops have slowed down a little bit.
They have.
They've definitely slowed down.
Yeah, and even when it's not, because the companies for the most part seem to have slowed down on announcing when they're about to do a drop. Because remember, like Walmart was like, we're going to be doing a drop this day or whatever. So right now it seems to be more like on Site Supply and Wario or whatever. And even with them just shadow dropping something, like Slow-Mo said, you hit it, it's gone.
Let's go.
So people are sitting there. They're sitting there with their notification ready to go. right? So, like you said, I think Sony and Microsoft, they're very happy with what they're seeing. Where they're probably pissed, it's like bittersweet, is we can't get more of these sons of bitches out here.
Right. They're missing because they could make more. They could be making more right now than they're currently making, but they can't do more because they literally can't get the supply. And so for those who didn't know about why that is, the reason why that is the reason why that's what's going on is that there's a company called TMSC, and TMSC makes a lot of the parts for they make a lot of the parts for PlayStation, AMD and Xbox. So like AMD makes the chiplets for the sock that goes into the Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5 console. AMD goes to TMC for that. TMSC is at maximum capacity for all their foundries. So they plan this stuff out years in advance, but essentially they've got other customers. They've got automobile companies that are putting chips into electric cars and stuff like that, and they got their orders in. They got mobile phones, got their orders in, and everyone is coming to very few companies to get this stuff done. I think it's only really like Intel does their own products, but Samsung also does the same stuff as TMSC, but most people go to TMSC, and they are just now getting around to trying to open up more foundries. But that stuff is going to take time to get off the ground. Even it brought up Uncle Joe, President Biden. Biden has pledged, I think, somewhere in the range
Biden.
of like play somewhere in the range of like 30 billion.
Call him Uncle Biden.
Hey, look, stop.
Hey man, that man. Oh, you know I take that back. Slow-mo. Never mind.
Yeah, like thank you.
I understand. Never mind. He's not Uncle Biden to Slow-mo.
He ain't Uncle Biden to me. I remember some. I don't forget certain comments from him. Anyway,
well, we're not talking about the comments. That's one thing. Money's a different thing. I feel you on that though.
All right. Regardless of that, the U.S. government has pledged $30 billion towards helping deal with this crisis, this issue with the tech industry and not being able to get products out. That is, it's wild that is going on. But it also shows that like how bad it is and how it's not getting better anytime soon. And all of the analysts are saying, you know what? It's probably not going to change until 2022. So expect to look forward to this all the way past the holiday year, where people are going to be kids who say, I want my PlayStation 5, I want my Xbox Series X. And, you know, like there could be parents that's going to be stressing if they didn't be able to get it for their kids last year, and then they still might not be able to get it a full year later. That's pretty crazy.
Right.
One shout out to we got Gold Chain Gamers in the chat. What's up, Sincere? How's it going, man?
What's up, Sincere?
Yeah, definitely check out his channel. The dude's an awesome content creator. Yeah, absolutely. Check him out Sunday nights, 8:30 p.m. I think Eastern time. Is this show Gold Chain Gamers? So yeah, definitely check that out. And yeah, what's up, Ryan Landis? How's it going, man? Sorry, I didn't see you there. Yeah, I think that they are going to continue to have great sales all throughout the year, and I know there are some companies that feel hesitant with that because they know that some of it is pandemic driven. So they didn't know once the pandemic is over whether this kind of demand that they have will still be there. But I do think there will be some people who will fall back once they have more opportunities to do more things. Yeah, but maybe they weren't a gamer before the pandemic. They got into it because they were stuck in the house, and now they're kind of going to keeping up with it for a little bit. But once things start to open up and they can go out and do the stuff they used to do, they may fall back on it. But then there are going to be some that actually have been playing games and like, man, I can get down with this. You know, maybe I don't need to go out every weekend and get drunk, or maybe I don't need to, do some of the other extracurricular activities where, your stuff got closed down, and maybe you were, always going paintballing with your boys, and now you don't do that no more, because the paintball place is closed or something. I don't know, just stuff like that where people will decide to pick up gaming, realize it's a lot of fun, and realize it's something they didn't know they were really that interested in. And once the pandemic is over, they'll still continue to keep doing that. I think that's a very real possibility. I think a lot of these companies realize there's going to be a percentage of the population of new gamers out there that will continue it on, in addition to like the younger generations that always join the gaming industry every year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to talk about these sales a little bit. We can get on into ending the show. Forte,
yo,
you got anything else you want to talk about, man?
We can talk about I want to talk. Okay, this is what I want to talk about, Slow-Mo. I want to talk about how you are an amazing person.
Oh, really?
I do want to talk about that. Let's talk about how Slow-Mo is always out here fighting the good fight and letting people know exactly how he feels, and I love it. Twitter is a battleground, and Slow-Mo plays that game very well. He makes me proud every time I turn on Twitter and I see some type of retweet from or a quote tweet from something that was stupid. I love it. But no, outside of that, no, not really, man. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's slow. It's like outside of last week where we had a bunch of news and announcements and stuff just from Sony. It's kind of been slow this week outside of these investment calls that we got yesterday or day before yesterday. I just think at a certain point, games are, what we here to play, and show up to these live streams, man. That's one thing. I was talking to Slow-Mo. We was in who was all in there? And it was Def Floyd, and who else was in the live stream yesterday watching us play?
Def Floyd and Cali Rex. Yeah. So yeah, we need you guys to we need everybody. Not calling people out, just whoever. We all about games and stuff. Show up to these live streams and support people when they're playing games and stuff. I know it's really fun to have conversations and go YOLO on people that don't agree with you and everything, but when it comes to like playing games, that's what this is all about. So we're doing a lot of different live streams. We're trying to give people as much content as possible. You get to hear the banter of your boy Forte and Slow-Mo in all types of different genres of games and stuff, not just in this podcast setting, because guess what? Doing YouTube, you really don't have time to play games. So if you can actually have that same conversation while you're doing it, it's a benefit to you guys, and it's also a benefit to us while we're playing games that we probably don't get a chance to play. So no, that's all I really wanted to say, man. Just we always talk about we want to support. The best way you can support is showing up and doing the things that you guys are doing right now. And I truly appreciate you and all the people that showed up to the last 2 live streams. Hey, no problem, man. Yeah, shout out to all of them. And I know I've been streaming a little late. It'd be like
people do need to fix that.
I mean, like literally, like right now it's like 11:45.
You gonna stream tonight, ain't you?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not streaming tonight. Like this would be funny because Returnal's coming out in like 15 minutes, and I'm not going to.
Are you gonna play tonight?
Nah. I'm probably gonna play tomorrow. I'm a little tired, but
yeah,
the last couple of nights I've been streaming, and it's been around this time. I've been like, so I fully understand people like, man, I got work in the morning, man. I ain't trying to be all, I get it. But I probably will be streaming a little bit. Next time I'll do it, I'll get started a little bit sooner, a little bit earlier in the night before people, already done brush their teeth and wash the doodle crumbs out the cheeks and everything, and they jumping in bed and all that. I get it. You're it's a little late, but I'll start streaming a little bit earlier in the night next time for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Gote Gamer. He says Forte sneakily calling people out. You goddamn right. You know why? Because you know, show up. Y'all say y'all want to support games and stuff. Show up to these live streams, support people when they play games, not just talking about them and stuff.
Yeah, exactly right. Like
show up to the live streams where the games are being played.
Yeah,
and Ryan
the
Ryan
homie Jedi streams like 2-3 times a week. I like to pop in and hang out with him.
Just say hi.
Jeff be hilarious, man. But the funny thing is that like Jet's so engaging. He'll just be sitting there talking. I would say probably 75% of the time I check out Jet's stream. He ain't played the game yet. He'll be talking for like an hour, just hanging out, talking with people. But that's like not everybody has that level of just being able to be just chill and hang out with people and discuss things. And you check some streamers and they just be sitting there dead, like even got the face cam on, just dead corpse look on their face, playing the game, ain't saying a word. It's just like, hey, bro, could you engage with your chat or something? But
yeah,
some people don't have the gift, But
Franco Tech said he was there last night. Slow-mo, you must have missed him.
He didn't say anything. But hey, yo, I appreciate that, Franco.
He was lurking. He was lurking. That's what he was doing.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with lurking, just as long as
that's what the backbone of any stream.
On streams. Ain't nothing wrong with lurking on streams. You kind of lurking at on people in your personal life. That's a little different story. You might need to slow your roll there, but lurking on streams is no problem, man.
Ryan Lantis says, let's talk about how Slow-mo and Forte signed that contract with E-Jack right under Enrique's nose.
Hey, look, man. Negotiations haven't been finalized yet. Look, we can't talk about anything official, but there might be some changing of the guard one day. You never know.
I'm visiting other campuses.
Yeah,
visiting other campuses.
That's what we said. So look, man. He if you don't give this man the best outro ever, he might just stay a free agent. I already announced him as an honorary guest. Panel member of Scumcast in a super chat last week. You about to lose the best thing ever, man.
It's slipping, man.
Yeah. Sincerely, Chess, I lurk sometimes, but I like to listen while I drive or work. Yeah, I get that too. Especially when I'm working. I like to. Because for example, I mentioned it earlier. Like Press Start Podcast is on when we're on live. So I used to, before we switched to Thursday nights, I used to listen to them live. And I would never really say anything. I would just kind of just be listening to the chat, and they're hilarious. So it's good fun watching them. But instead now I just wow, it's Friday, morning. I get my cup of Joe and I start getting into my workflow. I just put it on. So it's all it's always good to check out people's replay, people's stuff. It's always good on the replay as well. But I did want to get to these outros because I know Eric E has got to go, and I don't want to keep him for too long. Forte got us all, backed up when it comes to us ending the podcast at a reasonable time. But
shout out to you guys for sticking around all the way to midnight.
No doubt. I'll take that bullet for you guys. I'll be raccoon-eyed in the morning. It's all good.
Raccoon-eyed.
Looking all crazy.
This is hilarious. No, but definitely appreciate you coming through with coming through once again. The show looks a little different since last time, but of course, a fire show as usual. Let the fine people know where they can find you and what you got going on for the next week or so.
Man, I appreciate you guys like so much, man. You're my bros, two of the best dudes in the community. You keep it live, you keep it funny, keep it gaming. You have great insight, so I'll always rock with you guys, man. Anytime you guys throw out the invitation, I'm here. And I love what you guys are doing over here. I've always said I've been one of your biggest supporters. I love your dynamic. I can see your growth. This is just the beginning for you too. I know that for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So keep doing what you're doing. Chat, you guys are always live. Love rocking with you guys. And just in general, man, let's, focus on these games out here, man. I saw, shout out to Jez Corden from Windows Central. He said he had to put an article out because people are hitting him up worrying about, Game Pass making money. And I'm like, Don't worry about stuff like that. Don't
Are
worry
you
about
a
what
Microsoft investor? Like, what do you like? Why are you worried about their
Microsoft? And I don't even care that much.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, between that and and people dudes worrying about Sony being okay, and then they're quiet. And it's like, look, man, let them rock. You know what I'm saying? I want your problems if all you doing is laying in bed at night worrying about how much money these companies making, if they're gonna be okay. I'll trade that spot with you. They're fine. And when you really sit back and think about it, if you remove like the fanboy stuff, this is probably the one going into one of the most exciting generations in a long time. Why? Because it's unpredictable as hell. They're both doing things that, I mean, we think we know, we think we can pattern it on how past generations have been, but Microsoft is putting disturbances out in the industry. You know what I'm saying? And I think I said this to you guys before, but it's like, that's a cool thing because, we know they have deep pockets. They're here to play. They're here to fight. They have the money to do, to go the long game. But when you don't have those same pockets, you have to get creative. And that's where Sony could fly in. So this is a good time, man. Like, everybody should be excited, not going at each other. Just be chill. Like, go for the ride.
Exactly. Like I keep saying this. Gaming has grown so much, and there are so many gamers out there with so many diverse interests, and there are more and more generations, younger generations, that they're really targeting. We are not the target demographic anymore. Us 40-year-old guys, 35-year-old guys with full-time jobs and commitments and all this other stuff. We may spend a lot of money, and they appreciate that, but the target is the younger generation that's coming up, because they got more time on this earth. They got more time to, and they can be molded, because there's generations of people who just like, they refuse to buy a particular console for whatever reason, because of something that happened in 2013, something that happened at the beginning of the PlayStation 3 generation, whatever. There's a new generation of gamers that don't even know about any of that stuff. They just want to know, hey, you got Fortnite? You got you got the new hotness. You got Roblox. That's what they care about. And
don't
so
care where it's at, as long as you can access it and we can rock it.
Yeah, and what that means is that all of these platforms can eat good. They all can.
Exactly.
That both Nintendo does something different, completely different than Sony and Microsoft. Sony completely different than Nintendo and Microsoft. Microsoft the same, completely different from the other two. Just because that what they're doing is different than what your favorite platform is doing doesn't mean that it can't be successful. That's the only way to do things. Like, and I think it's kind of proven in our last topic with the sales that you don't have to be doing exactly what the other guy is doing to be successful. And I think that's proven to be true, and will continue to prove to be true throughout the generation.
Right. And how boring is it to think that you know everything that's going to lay out and the way it's going to go just so you can have talking points? I like the fact that any given week, these cats could throw something out. You're like, oh, man, I didn't see that coming.
Yo, Sen, you got to go ahead, man. They don't care about our bad knees, sore back having asses. I'm really just talking about slow-mo. Yo, as he said that, me reading that, I'm telling you, my right knee just flared up on me. Like, seriously, like, as I read that, my right knee got offended. How dare he?
Yeah, because there's no lie. Because I know when we're done with this and I get up and get out of this chair, I'm gonna do that old man shuffle walk where I got to get straightened again.
Right.
Straighten out my back.
Oh, man,
you're 100% correct. These companies the only thing they care about is, like you said, that we have the dough, and they're like, do you have kids that you're gonna spend some money on? We don't care about you. We just want to impress you enough to where you'll take them to the store to get this stuff. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We want you to be happy enough to make them happy. And
exactly.
and we can get two customers,
Exactly. But
make sure to shout out Gamer Perspective. I just want
yes. My boys Nicholas Downey, Sam Tolbert. Shout out to them. Yeah, we're trying to, gain our footing over there. I think we had some pretty good conversations. Definitely check us out. Gaming Perspective Podcast. We do that 8:00 on Tuesday nights. So yeah, it's a fun time. So we're making moves around here.
I can't breathe. Dolce gave just his ACL play Returnal.
Yo, Sid, you shout out, man.
Oh man, look, Sid. I ain't the only old person out here, man. All right, I'm not the only one tearing ligaments and need to go into traction playing video games. Oh, leave me alone, man.
The only person I know that can have a video game where he dodges in the game and he hears a pop and then think it's actually happened in real life.
Yo, like I got a Charlie horse. I'm plugging my USB cable from my controller.
Oh man.
For real, no, I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks again for having me.
Man, that's funny.
And like I said, I'm here anytime you guys want me. Just let me know.
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
we appreciate you too, bro.
All right, Forte. Let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Man, Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation, DPS Podcast. Episode 33 will be next week, back at our regular time at 9 p.m. So come check us out over there. Once again, appreciate you, bro. The most level-headed person in the community that I know. The person that keeps the Brat Podcast honest. Shout out to you, and shout out to that amazing outro that you did for yourself today. Brat, I see you in the chat. You might want to make sure that you get this man his outro every week. just saying, we ain't gonna pill it. We ain't gonna poach him just yet. We gonna give you one more chance. But
there you go.
We're gonna give you one more.
Forte got you on notice, Brad.
I swear to God, the next time you start closing the show down, I hear E talking in the background like, "Give me respect the podcast."
Enrique, we in the DMs, man. We in the DMs. All right, just be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout, man. You start seeing some crazy stuff. You never know. But yeah, man,
it's gonna be standing behind Forte in slow mo with the shades on.
Mm-hmm.
At the podium, just looking stoic while they talking to him.
How long do you keep this buff up the whole time with your in the gameplay? This
Outriders
off.
Oh yeah, my Technomancer build is beautiful. I'm soloing. I solo challenge tier 15 exhibition content with my Technomancer. Like I could just run through everything. It's completely.
I gotta get into with you, man. I haven't been on Outriders in a few weeks, man. I heard Cognito's still naked. I heard.
Oh, he still ain't get his stuff back?
Nah, man.
Oh, that ain't right, man.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He probably quit the game already.
Yeah, but look, if you need some help getting through, I mean, the way they downscale my damage when I try to help other people is a little messed up. But I got you. I can help you out, man.
They still went through it. I would have thought that they would have walked that back after hearing people say, "Don't do that. Let's just focus on getting this game." Okay.
Yeah, they're still down. Yeah, the downscale was real. Ask Sir Taz and Forte. Like we were trying to help Taz get through, and it's like. Look at the damage numbers I'm doing right now. Sometimes like 250k in damage. At times when I was playing with Taz, 500 max. Wow. 500, not 500k, just 500.
500. Wow.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. People can fly. They gotta work some of this stuff out because it's wild. But
they're destroying their goodwill, man. They had that goodwill from the Game Pass stuff and just in general. I mean, even on PS5, people were still rocking with it.
Right. Right. But look, we could go all night about Outriders. Let me not start.
Bottom line, I need to get back in there, man. Like I'm still like on World Tier 6, but I want to definitely get to the expeditions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or exhibitions, whatever at the end there.
Just let me know whenever you're ready, man. I'll help you out. Let me
go ahead, man. And make sure you tell these people that they need to be posting their screenshots of Returnal because I want to see how many people that were frauding.
Already know. Every screenshot gonna be from the first biome. Every screenshot gonna be from the first area.
Before we go, let me ask you: Is Brap gonna put it down?
Did he buy it?
Yeah, he's about to stream it. He just
shout out to Enrique's going to stream. When you leave here, go check out Enrique streaming Returnal. Probably in a few minutes, and watch him die a whole lot because you know how Enrique ain't gonna live very long.
Ask for a refund.
Enrique platinum Returnal, man.
He gonna ask for a refund 10 minutes.
Oh wow, I don't know about that. I don't think he's gonna do that. But yeah, check out his stream. He's definitely on Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. He's definitely about to start streaming the game. You know, if you want to check it out, see if it's something that you want to get into yourself. You know, you got his gameplay and how badly it can go for you to look forward to.
Right.
But let me do my outro real quick. I just want once again thank Eric for coming through. Thank all of you guys for coming through as well. I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are awesome. Hope you have a great night. Enjoy your games wherever platform they're on. Doesn't matter to me. And you can catch us DPS Podcast next week on Gaming Forte's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern. I believe we won't be doing the 9:30 thing again. That was just kind of like a one-off thing with scheduling. And tomorrow, I probably will be streaming tomorrow. Not quite certain what I will be streaming. Maybe it'll be Returnal. We'll see. Maybe it'll be something else. But I'll probably get on and do a little bit of streaming. But hope you guys have a great night and take care, man. Peace.
Peace.